Okay, welcome everyone. This is the Rebuilding the Ivory Tower podcast, where we will talk about different perspectives of sport within society. My name is Nathan Merkel. I'm a PhD student at the University of Illinois. I'm studying sport management specifically in the Department of Recreation, Sport, and Tourism in the College of Applied Health Sciences. I am joined today by my father, Greg. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Greg Merkel. I'm retired, but I also, just to kind of fill in time, I'm an usher for the St. Louis Cardinals baseball team, just to have some social connection in my retirement. So
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Dad.
thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to give a little bit of an introduction to this episode before we start. The main premise and the main idea of this podcast, like I mentioned in the trailer or the introduction, is an unscripted, unprovoked conversation between two people. Before we started, I was telling my dad that I literally have no plans for this podcast. The main idea or plan is to just sit down and talk. With one sport fan to another. But with my experience in academia, I'm approaching it with a little bit of a different perspective. And so that's why I'm trying to, rebuild this sort of ivory tower that exists within higher education. So we have a couple of really cool ideas to talk about. The first one, I guess we'll just really start off with being a sport fan and what that looks like. So I'm curious if you could just tell me a little bit about your experience of being a sport fan, growing up in St. Louis, and we'll just go from there.
Sure. Honestly, my my some of my first memories really are going to like Cardinal baseball games with my father, and actually seeing Stan Musial play. I don't remember too much of it, but I remember I was there and I remember seeing him play. Don't remember too much more than that. I also remember one of my first memories of watching sports is watching one of the first Super Bowls um, on my parents' old console that was like a piece of furniture television. It was black and white. And strangely, I remember I was the only one watching it. It wasn't that big of a deal back then. Um, so it was just kind of odd. I think it was Baltimore that was playing, if I remember correctly. So I enjoyed watching the game. I mean, honestly, I was the only one watching it. That was very little, um, but I enjoyed watching sports. I enjoyed playing sports. I wasn't that athletically talented, so kind of limited as far as that goes. So kind of lived a little bit vicariously through watching others play who were, more talented than I am, and followed sports a lot. Enjoyed the St. Louis teams. I live in the United States of America, specifically St. Louis, Missouri. And I enjoyed following the local teams, the local American football. If you're overseas, you call it, we call it soccer, you call it football, we call it American football. Anyway, and then baseball was always a joy watching. And then, of course, hockey and a little bit soccer too.
Yeah,
I've been following sports a lot and enjoyed watching it. Enjoyed doing recreational sports from time to time. Wasn't all that great, but had fun doing it.
yeah.
Uh, good exercise and good interaction with other individuals too.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know for those out there listening, if y'all are aware, but the St. Louis Blues, have won 12 games in a row as of last night. So
Yes.
it's a little bit of conspiracies thinking, oh my gosh, back to the 2019 season, they had a run of 11 wins, and now this is the longest in franchise history. So maybe, there'll be a run. That would be cool.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
We'll
Don't.
see.
Yeah, we don't want to jinx anything. There's that sports fan coming out,
So
right?
12 wins in a row is really nice.
I know it's very nice.
And
I
I'm
was
hoping
nervous. I
that
was
the St.
watching the
Louis,
game
yeah,
last night, so
hoping that the Cardinals can be competitive this year.
we'll
And
see. Yeah,
yeah, we'll see.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping they're certainly hitting. So
Yeah. One thing I really want to focus on and talk about in this podcast is franchise relocation and how that has sort of plagued the North American sport landscape. So there's a number of teams that have just been uprooted from their community. The one that, in my personal opinion, I'm a little biased, um, but that I think has been the most impactful in general is that when the St. Louis Rams left in 2016, just because of the context as to why. If other examples are like Montreal when the Expos left to go to DC, the Supersonics when they left Seattle, all the teams in Oakland that are leaving to go to Vegas, the San Diego Chargers have left to go to LA. There's a lot of other examples that exist. I'm pretty sure, I believe, through research I've found, I think 50 plus examples of franchise relocations in North America,
Mhm.
and I would argue that it probably will keep happening with the way that ownership exists in North America, that it's privately
Right.
owned. A lot of these owners sort of just want to make the most money, which is sort of, in a business perspective, what happened with St. Louis. And if you think
Right.
of it solely on a business perspective, it was a good decision because he quadrupled his franchise value within a matter of literally seconds from
Yeah.
moving from St. Louis to LA. So I understand it, but I'm here. I'd love to talk with you about the
Sure.
psychological impact of what happened, and so I'd love to connect with a bunch of different individuals out there that have experienced their beloved team leave their community. Can you just walk us? I'd love to hear you talk about your experience with this relocation, and were you a loyal fan and things of that nature? So,
Yes, as a matter of fact, I was a season ticket holder. I bought the season tickets the year before they made their Super Bowl run.
that
So
was
the team,
'98, right?
I believe so. Yeah, the team was actually not very good, to put it nicely.
Yeah,
Okay.
they got Kurt Warner from the grocery store, I think, right?
Yes. However, actually, it was Trent Green. But anyway,
Yeah.
going back, I saw what the team was doing. I
Mhm.
saw the players that they acquired. Marshall Falk as a running back. They signed Adam Timmerman as an offensive lineman. They got Trent Green, I think, through free agency. Um, they had Isaac Bruce. They drafted Torrey Holt as a wide receiver. They had Azir Hakim. They had a number of other players that they really increased their talent. And then they hired Mike Martz as the offensive coordinator. And I, as someone that followed the team and a little knowledgeable, not a ton. I saw the trend, and I felt a team was going to be very good. I
Mhm.
had no idea they were going to do what they did, but I felt they were going to be very good, and they would be fun to watch.
Yeah,
So
they were. I was
I
there.
yes, yes, I actually bought two PSLs
Yeah.
at a severe discount because I told some of my friends, actually one of my brothers, that I bought the PSLs, the tickets. And he said, why? He says, I can go to a game and people leave tickets on their wind. This is in the days when you had paper tickets on their windshield because they had a couple of extra tickets that nobody wanted to go to the game. You could just walk by and pick up tickets and go into the game for free because they were so bad,
Mhm.
people weren't going. Um, and I said, no, no, they're going to be good. I really feel that the Rams are going to be good next year. And oh my gosh, they were just
It blew up.
it was amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah, I
was
remember
so much fun to watch.
the
As
iconic,
you know, yeah,
the iconic Michael, was it Mike Jones tackle?
yeah, yeah,
Like the 2 yard line. I remember having it framed in my room. It was like the tackle of the century, and
yeah. I think I threw
uh,
that thing away, but yeah,
yeah. That's good. That's a good segue because we talk about this sort of like really interesting dynamic where we fell in love with this sport team. And I remember going to basically every game. I literally remember the exact route we took every single Sunday, driving on the highway up north, past the arch, take a left, find find a parking garage, and then you walk to the stadium.
Well, beforehand, I actually stopped and fed you if you
Yeah, Burger
remember.
King. Yeah, we'd go to get croissants at Burger King.
Well, and the reason for that is you would eat a lot.
A lot of stuff at the game,
Yeah.
and that's
And
expensive.
it's a lot cheaper to feed you at
Um,
Burger King or Steak and
yeah,
Shake
you
or
know what?
wherever beforehand. Oh yeah, have another one here. Yeah, get another one, Nathan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
eat
really
another
funny.
one.
So there's actually a thing that exists in sport research that's called the fan cost index. And so
Okay.
what that says is on average, it takes on average the average amount a family of four will spend going to a professional sport game.
Yes.
When you drive, you pay for the food there. You
Yes.
pay for a drink. It's like a drink, a hot dog, a bag of chips, four tickets, parking, and stuff like that. And
Right.
I'm pretty sure it has surpassed like $300. It
Yeah.
used to be like back in the day, like $100, 150. Now it's like $300 to $400 for a family of four to
Right.
just sufficiently or efficiently go to a game. So
Right.
people are getting priced out, and it's kind of wild.
Yeah. My strategy was to buy a pretzel and a soda.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is
the
like
pretzel is very filling,
$30.
and they're not real expensive
Yeah.
comparatively speaking at the ballpark.
Yeah.
So, pretzel and a soda,
Yeah.
and here, eat the pretzel because it's very filling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that way you won't want, a hamburger, a hot dog, or all that other nachos or all that other stuff. Here, just have a, yeah, sure. Come on, let's get a pretzel. You didn't figure it out until later on,
Yeah.
but
Until the tricks so started to make sense. Uh,
it did. Yeah. Well, see, there you go. You feed you ahead of time and then, oh, let's get a pretzel and a
yeah,
soda. Sure. So
absolutely. Isn't that
it
wonderful?
works. So they
Um,
did have a budget, but
that leads me into this sort of introduction to a research article that two faculty members, two sport management research academics from one University of Alberta, Dr. William Foster, and one from Brock University in Canada from Dr. Craig Hyatt. The title of this article is called "I Despise Them, I Detest Them: Franchise
okay.
Relocation and the Expanded Model of Organizational Identification." And so the way that they're trying to approach this is they're looking at how individuals will align themselves with a certain organization and how these different types of identifications can be recognized. So when this specific research that was produced in 2007 by these two wonderful academics, it talks about relocation and this sort of franchise relocation. They looked at Hartford, Connecticut when they went to South Carolina to become the Carolina Hurricanes. And
Okay.
they interviewed a bunch of fans and asked them, like, how do you view yourself as a sport fan after this team has left your community? And they came up, what's interesting, they actually came up with four different types of ways people identify. Um,
Okay.
and I'd like to see if this makes sense and if it correlates to sort of what we went through. And so
Sure.
the first sort of identification is called just identification. It's where they still remain identified um, with the organization, and when they were in Hartford, and then they're going back to Carolina. It's where a fan will remain to have allegiance to the team's name and logo.
Ooh,
But I don't think that really relates to us.
no, no.
Um, the next one is disidentification, which I think is a little bit more towards what we're at. It's where fans will actively distance themselves from an organization to maintain or increase their social standing. I'm not sure if we're doing it to increase our social standing, but I definitely am actively distancing myself. So I'm curious.
I would agree there. Yeah, I don't care about my social standing, but I can tell you, I used to have all kinds of different Rams merch,
Mhm.
jersey, shirts, posters, all not posters, but like the catch and the tackle that Mike
Yeah.
Jones made, and then the Super Bowl. poster from the local newspaper, and I get rid of all that stuff. I mean, I don't have anything, just because they pretty much said they don't want me or the St. Louis community
Yeah.
anymore. And the way they did it and what they said when they left, they really misled
Yeah.
people, and were, in my opinion, not truthful
Yeah.
about the situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, St. Louis did support them. It's when I think, in my opinion, they intentionally um, uh, deconstructed the team so
Hmm.
that they were not competitive.
Yeah.
That, I mean, fans overall will stop going if the team is not competitive. And
Yeah.
in my opinion, they did that intentionally,
Yeah.
uh, just to justify them leaving. So anyway, I don't watch NFL games anymore, and I used to watch them all the time.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know that I could name more than a few NFL active players
Yeah.
in the entire league, just because I don't watch, I don't keep up with it.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I could honestly name each and every player on the entire Rams roster, their practice squad, and many players on other teams. And now I honestly don't care
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So the way that you described that, as I'm looking at this article
Okay.
by Foster and Hyatt, um, part of the disidentification sort of identity is that they literally write these people felt betrayed by the owner
Yes.
in his decisions, and so I think that that
That
really
would,
portrays what I believe I went through and you went through. And I
correct.
don't want to speak on behalf of everybody in St. Louis, but I would argue that a good majority or an average amount of fans felt the specific way of,
Yes.
Stan Kroenke literally came out and said, St. Louis isn't was it a four team city? They can't survive with this amount of teams, blah blah blah, and like then the city sued the league for illegal relocation because the owners
Correct.
basically got together and just expedited this whole situation. So it was really sleazy. And I think for that reason, this sort of disidentified sort of identity makes a lot of sense in the community of St. Louis, where people just don't like the owner. We feel
Right.
betrayed. We all feel betrayed by the way that it was handled. And it's
Yeah.
wild.
Well, for those that are not familiar, um, and in my opinion, Stan Kroenke is a native Missourian, and St. Louis is located in the state of Missouri in the United States. For those that are listening,
Yeah.
overseas. Anyway, um, you would think that a native in your
Yeah.
locale would have some connection or um, thought to maintain a team in that community, and in my opinion, he solely wanted to increase his net worth,
Right.
um, and went to another location where his uh, um, team value increased dramatically.
Yeah.
And the NFL, National Football League, had a certain set of guidelines in
Yeah.
order to relocate. And the St. Louis alleged that the NFL did not follow it. They violated their own guidelines
Mhm.
and took the NFL to court. And it went on and on and on. Anyway, the NFL settled before it went to trial
Yeah.
and paid the city of St. Louis County, surrounding area. I believe it was $760 million
Yeah.
to sell that lawsuit so that it would not go to trial. So um, it it would appear that they knew they violated their own
Yeah.
relocation
Well, the
guidelines.
fact that they wanted to avoid it getting to trial tells you that they knew they messed up, and if it went to trial, it would be worse. And so I think settling for
Probably, yeah,
$760
yeah. Well,
is
$760 million is a lot of money.
yeah,
So
that is. And I know they're still arguing, I'm pretty sure, over what to do with that.
yes,
It would make a lot of sense if they like rebuilt the Edward, or what is it? The Edward, it's not the Edward Jones Dome. It used to be the Edward Jones Dome. Um,
it's well, actually, when it was a little outdated when it was
yeah,
built, but it was designed mainly
as a
as
convention center, right?
a multi-use facility, not
Yeah,
just as a stadium,
yeah,
but as an extension to the St. Louis Convention Center,
yeah,
so that it would not only be used for a few events every year in an NFL game, but to expand the convention center to attract more business
yeah.
conventions, that kind of thing, which it does. I mean, it still does.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, I wish that they would use that money or be transparent about what they're going to do with it. And I mean, in my mind, since it was a sport infraction that caused this money to come in, I feel like they should use that money to then regenerate sport in St. Louis, rebuild sport infrastructure, build some sort of, practice facilities around the city of St. Louis, help build the access to sport since it was
well,
that came from this money, but
there there actually is a practice facility. And
in,
in the lease
yeah,
that the Rams signed, there was a clause, if I remember correctly, where after a number of years, Stan Kroenke could buy that practice facility for $1. Um, and they left before that clause was to take place. Um, it's my understanding he's trying to buy the practice facility, which is many acres and buildings and so forth, for that $1. He's trying to do that. I don't know if that'll take place or not,
yeah,
but even after he left. So anyway,
yeah. That's
I
sort
think
of
the guy is
the
a
next,
multi-billionaire and he's trying to
yeah.
anyway.
For those out there, listening, Stan Kroenke is from Columbia, Missouri. It is about an hour and a half west of St. Louis.
Correct.
And is the home of the University of Missouri, Mizzou. That is where Stan
He
Kroenke is
attended.
from, and he attended it. So it is a little fishy that somebody from the state, even he may have allegiance to a different team or whatever. The Kansas City Chiefs are there, but still, it would I think be beneficial as an owner to keep a team in the home state that you're from. But
Well,
things are a
he
little,
married one of the Walmart girls.
yeah, the Walton family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So
things are
I
starting to
don't
make a
know.
little bit of sense here.
In my opinion, they're all about money. So I
Yeah,
mean, it's
obviously, yeah.
yeah,
And if they were to ask the community of St. Louis, should we leave? Obviously, the answer would have been no, and they would have stayed. But the fact that they looked at it, the way that sport, I think, looks at their current existence in society is all about ROI and
yes,
maintaining sort of money, butts in seats, selling tickets, media rights, all this stuff.
right,
Really don't think about how sport affects people, how it affects communities, how it affects society as a whole.
right,
This is exactly what happened is we're now disidentified sport fans. We feel betrayed by one team and kind of are
right,
in emotional limbo. But
right.
the next identification by Foster and Hyatt, 2007, is called schizo identification. So this sort of identification is where fans are torn between identifying with the team and disidentifying with the team. So it sounds like this is like I'm on the fence. I'm 50-50. Should I do it? Should I not? It said they're drawn to parts of the franchise despite their active dissatisfaction. So, you know, I think this is where it's like a 50-50 sort of emotional relationship is where like you're sort of in, you're sort of
Yeah.
out, you don't really know where to go. But I think in our personal experience, I am a 100% the out. And
I am 100% out as well. And
yeah,
honestly, I don't know of anyone personally that would meet that 50-50 thing.
yeah.
Everyone that I know of
Mhm.
wants nothing to do with the Rams and threw all the merch away and their name is kind of mud now. So
Yeah, exactly. And then the final one of the final or the second to last one is called neutral. This is where, they're just neutral. They don't really identify. They kind of do, they kind of don't. I don't think this applies to our experience at all. And then the final one is non-identification is where they say, I don't hate the team. I don't care about the team, but I don't hate them, but I don't care. And so it's more or less like kind of cutting the tie, but not really accepting that you hate them. And so I think the one that identifies that you and I identify with the most, and I think we can agree on, is this disidentification. And I think the city of St. Louis is a disidentified group of fans specifically to football. Even though the XFL has come in and people love that team and people love supporting that team, I think
I,
towards pro football, towards the NFL, I think there are a lot of St. Louis citizens that are disidentified just because of what happened. And I
yeah,
know, our uncle, your brother, my uncle, I've talked to him and he's like, yeah, I mean, I love football, but I will never be emotionally attached to football as I used to be. And I'm like,
correct.
yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Like pro
Yeah,
NFL football, I don't think I'll ever get back to that point just because
no,
of this betrayal that happened by Stan Kroenke and the Rams.
yes,
It's
I would agree.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
wild. Yeah. So for those of you out there, this article is wonderful. It's a great read. It's by Dr. Foster and Dr. Hyatt from Alberta and Brock University. Sort of the next leeway that leads us into the next talk. We sort of hit on it a little bit. I want to talk about our psychological connection to sport. This one is a very famous article that was written by Dr. Dan Funk and Dr. Jeff James. This is a model that is called, excuse me, in sport management research, it's called psychological continuum model. And so this model talks about how an individual or fan or spectator or human becomes loyal or becomes a fan of a specific team. And so there are four stages, and one is, you are aware. The second one is attraction. The third is attachment, and the fourth is allegiance. So I would argue that, between the years of 98 and 2015, both of us were at the very high point of this model of like we were
yes.
loyal and we were allegiant, through and through. We bled blue and gold, and loved the Rams. And
Oh my gosh, I was such a geek. I actually watched the entire NFL draft. I mean, not just the first round. I
yeah,
mean, the whole doggone thing. I
yeah.
mean, that's how much of a football geek I was. Um, and watched, some of the talking heads. I'm like, what are they talking about? This player, you don't want him. You want. I remember um, when the Rams, you know, there are times when I thought I could have been a better general manager than the existing general manager.
Yeah.
And my one specific example is when they traded Jerome Bettis to the Pittsburgh Steelers and drafted Lawrence Phillips. And I'm like, what are you people doing? Anyway, never mind. I'm getting
Yeah,
off
no,
topic.
it's great though. It's good because I remember attending. It was an event. Was it Les Snead was the GM? And we went to that practice facility where we played flag football, and we
Yeah,
attended this event. And I remember going as a lot of loyal Rams fans there, and this was during the height of like the really bad season and records of like 2-14, and
right.
it was
It was
pretty.
it was not good. And Jeff Fisher came out and and actually explained why they wanted to draft like a defensive lineman. And I'm like, okay, this is not going well.
It's
So
fishy.
I just saw that things weren't going logically
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I mean, if that makes sense. I mean, I didn't see their plan. It didn't make sense to me. The players they were drafting.
Yeah.
And it turns out that that was their plan. I mean,
Yeah.
they wanted to get bad so that people wouldn't come so they could leave. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a pretty wild sport environment that currently exists. But um so this sort of model that talks about your connection or your level of connection. Do you think you fit into this model after the franchise relocation happened with the St. Louis Rams? So level one is called awareness, is where you are aware of teams, you're aware that sport exists, things of that nature. Two is where you're attracted. You become attracted to a team. You're interested in following a team. Like I know, for example, you and I have gotten a lot into women's softball or collegiate softball. That's that sort of like attraction stage where you
okay,
watch a team a game or two and you're like, oh, like this is actually really cool. These women are very talented. That's that sort of attraction. And then
sure,
attachment would be where, you start to go out of your way to watch games. You become a little bit more intentional with your time to watch games. And then obviously four is loyal, you're allegiant, things like that. Do you think you fit into this in any way
uh,
now after this
um,
relocation happened?
not really. It's when the Rams did what they did, it was like a very bad breakup.
Yeah.
Okay, and it left a really deep scar to
Hmm.
me anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and I am having a real hard time having a connection to another sport team
Yeah.
other than ones that I had before. Now I do like uh, the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
I like their management style. I
Mhm.
like the general manager. They're going for it. Their strategy makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Um, I'm having trouble developing any more attachments to any other sport teams.
Yeah.
I'll watch, softball, women's softball, because I played it recreationally, and I can see that those women are so talented.
Mhm.
They're so much better than I ever was,
Mhm.
because I can see what they did, and I know how difficult it is. And some of the plays they make, I'm like, duly impressed at their athletic ability, but I'm just not going to go out of my way to watch it.
Right.
Um,
So you think
no,
you're perpetually at this sort of like pseudo one or two level where you are aware, obviously we're aware that these
right.
sports and teams exist, but there's a
Yes.
sort of barrier that is
Yes.
stopping you from progressing up this sort of identification or this sort of model to become
Correct.
real to a team. And it all stems from franchise relocation of the Rams and how a beloved team betrayed you, that disidentification, what Foster and Hyatt talked about is where you feel betrayed. You feel betrayed
Yes.
by a team, you feel betrayed by an owner, you feel betrayed by a league, you feel betrayed by a sport. So it's technically a four-pronged attack on your
Yeah.
love for football and the Rams. And so
Yeah.
I
Kind of a
agree.
dagger to the heart. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
I definitely agree with my own experience. Like I remember sitting in the stands, literally hearing rumors, and we were in the end zone with those season tickets that year.
Right.
We changed it from the suite level. I remember hearing fans are like murmuring around, "Oh, Kroenke bought land. Oh, they're going to relocate. Oh, he wants to buy
Yeah.
land. All this other stuff." And then all of a sudden it hits, and he bought the land. It is confirmed, and we're all
That
like, "Oh,
that did it for me.
like, I
I
was like,
mean,
oh crap, yeah,
I had suspicions before that, but once he
yeah,
bought the land in California,
yeah,
and they tried to downplay it. Oh, he's a developer. He buys land all the time.
yeah,
Baloney.
yeah."
I dropped my season tickets at the end of
Yeah.
that season. That was it because I just could kind of see what I thought was a handwriting on the wall
Yeah,
that
exactly.
he was going to move. I mean,
Yeah,
all the things
all the
that they're
ways.
doing, the way they're building or not building the team, not developing it,
Yeah,
um, it just all seemed to go in the direction that they wanted to have a subpar record so
yeah,
that they could have an excuse. Hey, people aren't coming. Well,
Yeah.
you're putting a subpar product on the field.
Yeah.
That's what people do when you put a poor product on the field.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah, I agree. So I definitely agree with you that I'm sort of in this limbo, this weird emotional limbo. And I'd love to hear any other listeners out there that are from these cities or communities that have experienced relocation. Like Hartford, or like with Foster and Hyatt, they looked at Hartford, San Diego, Oakland, Seattle, Montreal, all those cities. And I'm curious if y'all, any listeners out there that are in that city, like I'd love to hear from you. My email's in the description. Go ahead and shoot me an email. I'd love to hear, how you feel towards sport because, as you can see, my father and I are perpetually not emotionally attached anymore. And I
to any
find,
NFL team.
yeah, I find it, what's funny is I find it extremely difficult to emotionally attach to other sports now too. Like I'm a big
Yeah,
fan of soccer. I love soccer. Like I played for a year at the NAIA level. I loved soccer my whole life. But like I support AC Milan, but I'm not I'm not emotionally attached. Like
right,
I'll watch them and I'll support them and I'll like, celebrate when we score.
right.
I'm just not there. And I don't know what it is that is stopping me. And I think it all relates back to this betrayal.
I think it does. I
Yeah.
mean, because I kind of feel the same way, to be honest with you. I mean,
Yeah.
before I had my heart and soul to that local team.
Yeah.
And once you had that betrayal, and
Yeah.
it's how I feel, um, it's hard to try to reconnect to another team.
Hmm.
Um, and I kind of thought about it. I mean, people have had, bad breakups, that kind
Yeah.
of thing, and I kind of relate it to that. Imagine kind of the worst breakup you've ever had, um, and it was a surprise, and it wasn't your fault. Um, and anyway, I mean,
Yeah.
it just stings,
Yeah. It
and
does. It's
it, it it
salt in the
still
wound.
yeah, yeah,
And it's interesting. I try to be emotionally attached to sport. Like I think the closest I'll ever get is with the Blues or the Cardinals.
yeah,
Because I sort of transferred, or I sort of like just re-geared my fandom or my love for sport to different teams. And
right,
but I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to like, to love a team, to fully embrace a team. And I'm fascinated by this sort of experience. Everybody that I've talked to feels the same way. And,
yeah,
one of my best friends out there, shout out to Josh Haggerty, who's now a season ticket holder at the XFL Battlehawks, and he's refound that. He loves the Battlehawks, and I'm
good
like,
for him.
how do I find that? I think I think maybe you got to go to more games, or I don't know. There's something out there that is stopping me from wanting to become more emotionally attached to teams. I think I'm just perpetually afraid
Yeah,
of being betrayed, of being just shot in the foot.
yeah,
And so,
yeah.
it,
I mean, I don't think I'll ever have that same level of
yeah,
emotional attachment
yeah,
to any other team, even the Blues or the St. Louis Cardinals, um, as before. I mean, it's I still follow the St. Louis Cardinals and the St. Louis Blues hockey team,
right.
but the level of emotional attachment is not the same as before the Rams left.
Yeah,
Once they left, um, I you're almost, I don't want to say afraid, but
yeah,
you don't care.
yeah. I feel like I'm subconsciously afraid to support these teams because I'm afraid that, one day the owner or someone is just gonna come out and say, screw you, fan, I'm leaving to go to LA
I can make more money somewhere else.
quadruple my net worth.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's what's wild to me when you think of what's funny is I talked to a scholar, Dr. Mark Turner at the University of Manchester Metropolitan in
right.
England, and I was talking to him about this phenomenon. And I'm like, I was like, he's a Manchester, I'm pretty sure he's a Manchester United fan. He can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was like, do you think Manchester United would ever relocate cities? And he was like, you're insane if you would even think that that could happen. Like, that would never happen in Europe. Like, teams
Okay.
don't move. And I was like, so why is that a problem in North America? Why do they not, like, do just teams not care about fans? Like, do they not care about communities or
No.
I don't know. And
All right. Here's my. It's all about money.
yeah,
And if you if you think about it, try to pinpoint another industry where you can be a failure.
yeah.
Okay, have subpar season, subpar sales, whatever you want to say. Your
Mm,
competition is just, you know, doing extremely better than yourself,
mm,
and you're still profitable and you're still stay in business.
right.
That's sports. You can have a sport team that just is very poor
Mm,
on the field. It performs very poorly,
right.
yet they're still making money. So
Yeah.
name another industry where that happens. I,
Mm,
I've not been able to do that. Um, so that's why people want to own sports teams because you can be totally incompetent
yeah.
and still make money.
Yeah. See, I'm trying to think of some sort of industry or some sort of
Try
product,
to find something. You have
some
to be
sort of
competent.
product that perpetually fails or is just
Yes.
or like a 500 or just average, just
No, I mean
absolute
below
average.
average. You can totally stink and you can still make money. Think about it. I
Yeah.
mean, really. I mean,
Um,
in sport, most sports teams at the pro level, um, you can be just really bad,
yeah.
and you can still make money.
Yeah.
I mean, it with the television revenue and all
Yeah.
the $8, hot dogs or whatever they
Yeah.
are. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it is wild. It's a really crazy environment, and it's really interesting you brought that up because I have this last article that I have pulled up. This will be the last one we talk about.
Okay.
But it relates. It's called "The Blurry Spectrums of Team Identity Threat." So this article was written by Dr. Aaron Mansfield, Dr. Liz Delia, and Dr. Matthew Katz. This was released in 2020. So the main premise behind this article is looking at that sort of phenomena, of like you can own a team or be a sport team and you can perpetually lose.
Right.
Which in research context, when you perpetually lose, that's called an identity threat. And
Sure.
so that is where, we were Rams fans and they were losing constantly. That is a threat to our identity. That is a threat to us going out and buying season tickets. It's a threat to that sort of lifestyle. So they're looking at the Buffalo Bills. They looked at the Buffalo Bills as a case study and were like, overall, historically speaking, the Buffalo Bills have been a mediocre, subpar organization. If you look at their overall record, I'm pretty sure they're very close to 500. They've been really good the past 5 years with Josh Allen.
Okay.
You think of since their inception, the Buffalo Bills have been a pretty average, subpar, mediocre, average team, and
Well,
they're
they had
one.
4 years where they made the Super Bowl. They lost all four. I mean, four
Yeah,
years in a
but
row, if I
but then
remember
after
right.
that,
Yeah.
it's been mediocre. And
Yeah.
so it's looking at like, why is it that fans in this Buffalo Bills region, even though the team historically hasn't really been like the greatest team ever. They've been
Right.
good at times. They've fluctuated, but on average, historically, they've kind of been average, They've been mediocre. And so
Right.
looking at it, like, why are Buffalo Bills fans absolutely just loyal, lunatically loyal? Like,
It's their team.
yeah. And so,
They identify as
yeah,
Buffalo Bills fans.
yeah. And what's crazy is they looked at different threats, and a lot of the results that they found is that fans, even though when the team starts to lose, the fans will identify with the city and with the community a lot more than the team. And so a lot of the fans that they interviewed, they said, yeah, even though we lose, I'm from Buffalo, Buffalo is a, get to work sort of city. I'm passionate about being a person from Buffalo and I
Right.
love Buffalo, New York. And it's like that sort of identity. And it's like, is that something that you think you started to feel when the Rams were losing? Did you start to like just love St. Louis or like St. Louis a lot more? Or do you think it doesn't really apply? Maybe it's just the culture of Buffalo, but I personally don't think it correlates to St. Louis. When they were
No, I
losing,
would. It
yeah,
didn't for me. No.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I'm born and raised here. I lived here most of my life. Not I lived, in other areas for 3 years and then I moved back. But um, I wouldn't
yeah.
say that applied to me. No.
Yeah. What's interesting is in their conclusion, they said that fans will primarily use what's called as social creativity and competition in order to cope with that sort of threat of that average team performance. And so when you think of this sentence, it's basically saying fans will create their own way of coping, which I think what they're doing is that sort of breaking the tables and this like mustard and ketchup spray that like the leap into the stands, like that sort of crazy, like show up shirtless to -20-degree weather, like this sort of crazy identity that they have. And you sort of just band together. And I think throughout the losses and throughout the years, they decided as a community to just come together and support the community and just create this environment. And now it's become a very well-known atmosphere in NFL of like Buffalo fans are wild. They are really, it's a wonderful environment. I'd love to hear from anybody from Buffalo. If they could email me and let
I,
me know, maybe I'm completely wrong, call me out on it. But I'd love to hear someone's perspective. But it's pretty interesting how it correlates to that research. But I want to go back to the Dan Funk and Jeff James article because in the conclusion, usually with every sport management or every just research article that exists, at the very end, they say, we want to provide a way for other people to do something sort of like this, or, one area of this project that we didn't hit on is this, maybe someone else can do it later. And so they said one area of research that has not been explored is movement down. And so I'm curious, do you think that you have moved down from a level 4 loyal to somewhere else on that sort of model?
probably, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, um, I don't follow the NFL at all.
Yeah.
I can't. I haven't watched an entire game
Yeah.
in several seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, if something's on, I might watch a couple of minutes, and I'm like, I'm not interested. I'll
Yeah.
find something else to watch. I mean, I always used to watch NFL games every Sunday, Monday, those kind of things, and now I can't even tell you who's going to play what day, what the
Right.
record is, or anything, because I don't watch it, and I honestly don't really care
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
NFL.
That's
Um,
interesting. Yeah. That's good because like that's not good, but that it's a great point because I know you used to do as well. We used to do fantasy football.
oh, yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah, I
I don't
was
care.
so invested into fantasy football, and now,
Oh, it was fun.
and
Yeah.
like you said, I don't know a dang thing about any player out there. Like if you put me on a team, like I would just let the AI choose for me, and
Yeah.
like I have no idea.
I
Like
have no clue. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
follow football
yeah,
at all.
it's
I,
wild.
I could I could probably name a couple of players that are
Yeah,
active in the entire league only because I do watch the local news and I watch the sports segment and they'll name some players.
yeah,
Uh, that would be the only reason I would know a couple of players in the NFL and the guy that's dating the singer in Kansas City.
Travis
Uh,
Kelce.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, him. See,
yeah,
I don't care. I
yeah.
mean,
It's
and
interesting. Like,
their quarterback is really good too.
yeah,
Uh, what's his name?
Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, there you go. Right,
Yeah,
him. Yeah. See,
yeah, yeah.
I honestly don't care about the NFL at all. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I mean, like I think I have moved down.
Yeah,
This will sort of bridge into what I personally want to do with my research.
right.
I want to take this model that Dr. Funk and Dr. James created and use this, idea of people of fans moving down from, from a loyal fan, a loyal season ticket holder, someone who identifies as a very loyal fan, and how they, in what way do they move down
Is
from,
that per sport? Is that sports specific or is it overall?
it's overall in general. It's made in the
Okay.
context, this article is made in the context of sport, and towards a team or organization. But it
Okay.
has been used in a lot of different contexts, like within tourism, within rec, within different contexts, but it is a marketing article that talks about how fans or people become aware and loyal to a team or organization.
Okay.
But I think it correlates to a lot of other things. I'm a little biased, but I think it can really talk about like any sort of consumer behavior in any marketing field at all, because
It
that's
could.
how you become aware and loyal. You go through stages of aware, attracted, attached, and then loyal to the object. So, but it is focused in sports specific. But
Okay.
yeah,
I-
oh, yep,
Well, I mean, to me, um, sports specific NFL, I went from very dedicated
yeah,
to probably below zero. I
yeah,
mean, I don't know or care about them
yeah,
at all.
yeah.
And overall, sport overall, I mean, I went from very rabid about, the Cardinals and the St. Louis Blues hockey team to still following them, but a little bit lower
Yeah,
on the
probably
scale.
the attracted, between attracted to attached stage, like you're in between, where they exist for
Probably.
sort
I'd
of,
have to look at
not.
it again, but I mean, I honestly, uh, um, am not as passionate a fan
Yeah,
overall
yeah,
because of what the Rams did. I still follow the local teams, like I said, and still enjoy watching, the baseball game or the hockey game. I find that uh, I'm more concerned about the ownership
yeah,
uh, than before.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and I'm encouraged by the ownership of the St. Louis Blues hockey team. They're
mm,
local people,
yeah,
um, and they're committed to the area. And I don't feel they'll pick up and move.
mhm,
So I'm more committed to them. That
yeah,
maybe there's that always that fear that
yeah.
um, it's all about
What
money,
if? Yeah, what if?
and that and it seemed like sports is more about money
Hmm.
uh, and making more money
Yeah,
than about fandom and being loyal to the fans
yeah.
and true to them.
Yeah,
So
see, I wish the North American or just global approach to sport, that's what a lot of sport management academics are wanting to do, are trying to do. But the which hints on this idea of the podcast is that there's this sort of divide of what the general public thinks and what higher education is currently doing, or what they know, what they don't know. There's this sort of gap. And a lot of researchers out there are really trying to change the way that sport is ran in general, just in a global context. Because, like you said, a lot of sport organizations are in it for the money, and the
yeah,
owners want their return. They really don't. Not a lot of them really care about the community. They're kind of just there to get butts in seats, sell tickets, stuff like that.
make money.
I
Yeah,
did say there are some teams out there that don't follow this model. Like, for example, I know an NFL team, the Green Bay Packers. They're the only team in the NFL that is actually publicly owned.
correct.
The Packers rent their space from the stadium. The stadium is literally within 2-minute walk of neighborhoods. Like, it is directly in a neighborhood. There's no like there are restaurants and stuff around, but it is a very neighborhood based stadium, and it's a very cohesive environment. And I really wish that environment would extend out to every other team, but it just unfortunately isn't structured that way. You see a lot of pro sports and a lot of pro teams will have this sort of like what
Yeah,
Ballpark Village is. they have
Right.
this massive community of bars and restaurants and stuff around them
Make more money.
instead of just
Yeah.
homes, instead of people. They care about the people. And
Right.
so
Well, in my opinion, um, if the Green Bay Packers football team was not publicly owned,
mhm.
they wouldn't be there.
Yeah, I think so. That's a
They'd
hot
be
take.
gone. Well, think about it.
Hot
It's
take.
it's a small town, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I
That's a
mean,
tiny city.
there's
I've been
there's
there.
no
Been there.
way if they weren't publicly owned, that team would be gone.
Yeah,
That owner would have taken that and moved somewhere else where they could have made more money.
yeah.
So
Maybe a bigger city.
kudos to Green Bay for publicly owning that because that's the only way that
Yeah,
they would have stayed there. If they were
yeah,
privately owned, in my opinion, they would have been gone years
yeah.
ago.
I've been to that stadium and been to that city. The city it is pretty small. It reminds me of like Columbia, Missouri. It's
Right.
not as big as St. Louis. It's a small city, but wow, do they freaking love the Packers? Like it is really contagious. It's awesome. Like I love to see that.
Well, they attract from the entire state of Wisconsin and the
Um,
surrounding states as well. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I it's a great organization, great
yeah,
team, and I take my hat off to them
yeah,
that they're publicly owned. So good for
yeah.
you guys.
I wish that other
But my
teams.
understanding is that the NFL has a provision that no other team can be publicly owned
Yeah,
because
they
they
bar
don't want that.
they don't like that. Yeah, Roger Goodell doesn't
No.
like it that teams are publicly owned.
Well, it affects their value
Yeah,
because whenever a team gets sold, then the sale price always keeps rising.
yeah,
So that means that if you're an owner, the value of your team goes up as well. So you're making more money.
yeah,
So at the end of the day, it's all about money.
yeah. Once again, more about money, and this
Yeah.
relates to my one of my favorite models that exists in sport is the Bundesliga. I'm pretty sure anybody who knows the facts can quote me on this and call me out, but I'm pretty sure every team in the Bundesliga is majority owned by the city, majority owned by the
Oh,
community, and minority owned by private ownership. And
oh,
so,
good idea.
yeah, what that means is, yeah, is like
They're not moving.
they're not moving. Yeah, they're not leaving
Yeah.
ever. And
Good
so
for them.
and
Good
so
planning. Yeah.
if owners want to make a change, like for example, when Ryan Reynolds and Ryan McElhenney went and bought Wrexham from the city of
Right.
Wrexham, they had a Zoom meeting with all of the community members in Wrexham and had to present to the community and be like, we want to buy your team for A, B, C reasons. And the community had to come together and be like, do we want them? Yes or no? And obviously, they've brought them to, almost being in the Premier League from like one of the bottom tiers in
Right.
Wales. So it's pretty wild, but it's a really, really interesting dynamic of how some European organizations run sport. And I
Right.
think that is why you see a divide or a difference between fans in North America and fans in Europe, because
Sure.
because the city, the community owns the team. Like it is their team. Like
Is the majority owner.
when they say we, like that is possessed, like they are the we. And but here it's like, yeah, we can say we won, but like it's not
Mm,
your team. It's the owner's
right.
team. They'll leave. They could leave at any second. And so I think
Sure.
there's a sort of divide, but it's
Yeah.
really interesting to think about. So yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So that actually concludes all of the questions I had for you.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this conversation. It was really fun to talk about some of these sort of aspects that are being researched in sport and how it kind of makes sense just to
Yeah.
in general context. So thank you very much for meeting with me and doing this podcast with me. I really appreciate it. Um,
Well,
and
thank you for inviting me, and I enjoyed the conversation as well.
Yeah, great. If anybody out there has any questions about this specific episode or anything of that nature, my email and contact information will be in the description. You can go ahead and email me, shoot me any questions, or if you have any ideas or thoughts or passions or anything like that that relates to what you want to hear on this podcast, let me know. I'm more than willing to look up some articles and have a conversation with you and see where things go. So other than that, that concludes this episode, and I really thank you for listening, and I hope you join for the next one. So thank you very much.
Take care.